My name is Detra Montgomery-Johnson. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm a domestic violence survivor. I remember growing up in Washington, D.C. and seeing my grandparents argue and fight a lot. At this time, I didn't know that this was a violent relationship. I just knew this as the norm. As a teenager, I moved in with my mom, and I saw abuse in her relationships also. I remember seeing one of her boyfriends throw her through a kitchen wall, and she was about 4'11", maybe 110 pounds. Because of these abusive relationships, I grew up thinking that this was the norm, this was okay. So by the time I was 20 years old, I entered my first serious relationship that lasted for 10 years with a lot of domestic violence abuse. Finally, after 4 years and 10 years in this relationship, I decided to end it and move to South Carolina with an aunt. I moved here in 2000. Shortly thereafter, I married a man, and it wasn't a good relationship. Because of the abuse I went through with those 10 years, I decided that I would be the abuser before I would let him abuse me. And so I was very violent to him, but he was no saint either. He was verbally abusive to me. That marriage lasted for 5 years. After that marriage ended, I moved in to a trailer that I lived in West Columbia. I stayed there, and shortly thereafter I began to pick up and use. A short time later, my aunt removed my children from my custody as a result of my alcohol and addiction. I then moved into the Salvation Army, where I met a guy named Louis Gainey. He was very charming in the beginning. He was everything I thought I was looking for. And actually, I had been warned by several counselors. There were signs that this was not a good relationship. But because of the lust that I was looking for, it sounded and felt good to me at the time. Shortly thereafter, Louis and I moved in together. The relationship started out really well. After a while, I noticed there were signs that he was always wanting to tell me what I could wear, who I could talk to, who I could be around. And I knew that this was not good because I had been in a relationship like this prior to this. And so not long after those things I was seeing, I noticed that money started being missing from my home a lot and realized that Louis was using. By that time, I decided I wanted to end the relationship. As a result of that, he became verbally abusive, physically abusive by tearing up the house and threatening me and the kids.